This is Codecademy. I'm working on Introduction to JavaScript, and I am on the conditional statements lesson, or the conditional statements portion of the course. What part of that am I on? Well, if I click over here, Intro to JavaScript, conditional statements, I'm on 6, which apparently is Truthy and Falsy. We'll find out. So let's see what we got going on. Let's consider how non-Boolean data types, so not true and false, Boolean's true and false. Let's consider how non-Boolean data types like strings or numbers, strings or characters like words, or numbers are evaluated when you check inside a condition. Condition's an if statement. Sometimes you want to check if a variable exists and you won't necessarily want it to equal a specific value. You'll only check to see if the variable has been assigned a value. So does it exist? Does it have any value? You might not care what the value is. Here's an example. Let my variable be I exist, this is a string, if my variable council.log, my variable that will print out this string, I exist, else council.log, the variable does not exist. So what's this going to evaluate to? It will evaluate and say this is true because this exists. If it doesn't, it would be false and it will print that. The code block in the if statement will run because my variable has a truthy value. Even though the value of my variable is not explicitly the value of true, my variable does not equal true. It equals this string thing, but it doesn't matter because it exists. So this is just checking if it exists. When used with a Boolean, in a Boolean or a conditional context, this is a conditional context, this would be a Boolean, it checks true or false. When used in a Boolean or a conditional context, it evaluates to true because it has been assigned a non-falsy value. So which values are falsy or evaluate to false when checked as a condition? The list of falsy values includes 0, yes, 0 is always false in all languages forever. Empty strings. So just nothing in there, that would evaluate to false. Null, which represents where there is no value at all. Undefined, which represents when a declared variable lacks a value. So this might be if the variable doesn't exist at all. The variable might exist, but you might have declared it without a value, like I'm about to show you. That would be an undefined variable. Let's undo that. Non, or not a number. If the value is only not a number, that doesn't represent a real value, or at least not one that is considered truthy. Here's an example with numbers. Let number of apples equal 0. Oh, I love apples. If number of apples, council.log, let us eat apples. Else, council.log, no apples left. So what's that going to do? Well, the variable exists and the value exists. So would it go say true and print down here? No, because as a number, 0 is always false in computers. When you get down to the basics of computers, it's zeros and ones. It's code. It's on-off switches. So 0 is always, always, always false. That's because no electricity, originally, you would have electrical circuits connecting. No electricity would be flowing through that, meaning it was false. Whereas if it was on and the switch was down, electricity would be flowing through. Way back to the basics here. But anyways, 0 is false. The condition evaluates to false because the value of the number of apples is 0. Since 0 is a falsy value, the code block in the else statement will run. All right, let's see. Change the value of the word count so that it is truthy. The value should still be a number. Okay, well, any other number than 0 is going to be truthy. 5. After you make the change, run your code. Great, you've started your work. Should be logged to the council. Yes, so this is going to be considered true. Yep, great. Change the value. Why did that happen? Oh, it went through here. Yep, okay, it ran that. Great. Change the value of favorite phrase so that it is still a string, but falsy. Well, what's a false string? An empty one. So this is a string without any letters, nothing in it. That is a false string. It evaluates to falsy. After you make this change and run your code, this string is definitely empty, should be logged, and it will be. There we are. Okay, so that's kind of the basic intro to these truthy, falsy stuff, and it's fun to say. Let's keep going.